let's say, one focus, but you've got 4 distractions. You're in a crazy relationship, or you're, say you're pursuing something that you don't love, and you're thinking about how much you don't love what you're pursuing and what you're doing, and you can't stand it. You can't believe you have to go to this job, and you feel so bad. And you got that whole, that becomes a whole thought process.
Right. That's why you need to shift to what you want to do, and just have that goal. And it's almost a good segue of going. It works for the negative stuff too. I mean, first, negative thoughts are easier to. If you realize negative thoughts come into your mind, you have to work to get to the positive thoughts. So it's really.
How do you overcome the negative? Because you ended up working for Adnan, and then you've had a whole huge, tremendous, where you put together large deals. I mean, really large deals, and then you hit major obstacles. How have you not allowed those obstacles to completely overcome you and overtake you? I mean, what is your thought process? How did you stay focused? How did you continue to put deals together when you were going through all of this?
Again, it's having the desire and knowing what you want, and knowing not to give up on the things that you really want. And those 2 experiences where I let myself go in a lull, that those 2 television appearances. I remember the last time I said I will never be distracted of what my goal is, no matter what the distraction is just to pursue those goals. And it's interesting because in the interim I got married when I met Adnan, and then it wasn't going very well with my wife too, because I was so busy working, and she was getting unhappy because I wasn't hardly there. So I took a little break to try to work on the marriage, save the marriage. And then I met John Gray.
Who I've interviewed, and he has a great story. But actually, you helped him. You know.
Because when I met John Gray, he just was starting out. Men for Marriage just became just starting to become successful, and then I was helping him create an infomercial for him, and it kind of drove a lot of the sales. Did a lot of things to try to market him, but convincing him to let me market him, because I've never done that before, while everybody else was trying to approach him. It was starting to get a little success. Every infomercial company, every marketing company. But it was right back to the rhythm of never giving up. I showed up at his house and talked to him, and it took me a few months. I finally convinced him to let me handle and manage, the process, and I could make him that money. So I ended up starting Genesis, and that was our first infomercial, and probably was very successful. And then there was another one that we did right after successful, another one. So then I said, okay, well, maybe I was for that 8 years, I was Adnan's guy. Everybody showed up. It was Adnan Khashoggi group. So I thought it was time. It was a great experience. I met all the heads of state in the world.
God, what's that like, Ramy? I mean, here you've gone from homeless, living under underpass. You didn't finish. You stopped school at the age of 13. You never. What grade was that? 7th, 8th grade, something in there.
Yeah, somewhere.
I mean, you've never gone past that. And here now, you're meeting heads of states. You're flying all over the world. You're dining with some of the most prominent businessmen in the world that run countries, that run. I mean, it's really quite.
Yeah, and at first you sit back and you don't say very much. You try to absorb it and learn it and everything, and then once you realize people are just people that have the same failings and fears and stuff, and they're charmed the same way and stuff. I mean, the good thing about it, I liked my path. I'm glad I started with absolutely nothing and met all these others, because now I get along with everybody. I don't view anybody as lesser or greater. They're the person. I treat a valet the same as I would treat the king in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I treat them all the same, and they see it, and they see that I respect them and treat them, and that's why they have. I get treated well by them, because whatever you give out, you get back.
That's right.
And it was really interesting. Because even all the way, the stuff that I had to go through, which we go into, because I treated everybody with great kindness and showed because one of the great principles in the book also is nothing lasts if it's not built on truth and honesty also. Very
good point. Nothing lasts if it's not built on truth and honesty.
Right.
It'll go away. It'll disintegrate out of thin air.
So you always had, and I tried to live my life by those principles, and everything. And I always look out for the people who invest alongside with me or something, and I care about them more than I care about myself, because if you do that, then at the end it'll work out for you. So you always have to look out for other people more than yourself.
Right.
That's right. So as I was growing and doing a lot of these things, that's what I was doing. I was always treating them very well, and it was just a good experience to experience all that stuff with that. It was Khashoggi, because I saw the world and I understood it very well after the 8 years, and it wasn't intimidating. And the great thing about also meeting Khashoggi and working with him and having dinner, before it was a goal. I wanted to become very wealthy, thinking in the billions and stuff, and it was like a dream, and that's what I was shooting for. But your perspective, it's still just like, oh, it's a goal. But once I was in the middle of it, it became reality. It changed my perspective that, oh, this is possible. It's really possible to achieve it. These people, and after being with them, oh, they're not that much smarter than I am, or I'm negotiating a lot of them and stuff. If they could achieve all this, it's just like, I should be able to do this.
Right.
So it was a way of changing perspective of your life. So,
right.
So it was a great way of changing perspective, but never also losing touch with any of how it all came about.
How would you suggest to someone on how to open their mind and change their perspective now, when maybe they're sitting in a one-room apartment and they have a dream and they have a goal and they have their vision? How can they expand their mind now, even though they're sitting in this particular situation at the moment? How can they change their perspective before they're actually in it? How would you guide somebody to do that?
Well, first they gotta really believe that they can achieve what they want. And they got to get to the point where they really believe it. If they don't believe it, they won't achieve it. I mean, there was a quote that they took from the Bible in Think and Grow Rich, is whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So if they don't believe it, they're not going to achieve it. So.